if she was to feel well enough to be at Trooping, nobody should see that as her comeback, because it won't be. Hello, Kate.
Hello, Roya.
Hello, listener. Hello, viewer.
How do we know that it's not the same person?
Well, quite. By the way, if you enjoy our ramblings, and we hope you do rate our podcast or review it or follow us. The podcast, that is. Let's chat about what you've been up to. I saw a very impressive selfie, Kate, in our Royals WhatsApp group this week. Oh, we've just divulged. We've got a WhatsApp group.
We've got a group.
Do tell.
I went to see Prince William.
Look how pleased you look.
It's not because I'm...
It's
because of what's coming. William was with Harry, Roya.
William and Harry together.
William and Harry, we can exclusively reveal.
Hold the front page. You didn't file that.
Well, I did, but it's not quite as billed. It's not the headline you were hoping for.
It wasn't Prince Harry, was it?
It was Prince William with King Harry Kane, captain of the England football squad.
Super cool. And what was he up to?
Well, William was there at the FA, home of the FA.
Why?
St George's Park, to say goodbye and good luck to the England squad as they flew out to Germany for the Euro 2024 tournament. That's football or soccer, if you're American. And
he's president of the FA, isn't he?
He's president of the FA, and he went up to give him a little pep talk and hand out these shirts to each one of the players to say, you know, here's a shirt, one of the ones that they'll be wearing during the tournament. And inside was really nice because they had like a little sort of pamphlet for each player, which was specific to them. So Harry Kane's had pictures of his club where he'd played as a youngster and pictures of him as a little boy kicking a ball around. And it was supposed to inspire them all to remember why they loved the game. So not the kind of Ferraris and all the cash and adulation that they have nowadays, but, you know, kicking the ball against the wall in the local park or whatever. So he gave them a pep talk, and he said that he'd been on the school run that morning and he'd asked his kids what advice he should give to the England squad. And it transpired that Prince Louis had said, whatever you're eating, just double it. Just double it.
Just eat loads.
Double the portions.
And go running around the pitch with big tummies. See how you get on against Denmark. Good luck with that.
Harry Kane said, I'm not sure the nutritionist would agree with that. But he did say, when I spoke to him afterwards, which was very nice, and I had to take a picture, otherwise, you know, my son would kill me. And he wouldn't believe that I'd met Harry Kane, you see, if I hadn't have picture evidence. Afterwards, Harry said that William will fly out, they've announced today, actually, that William's going to fly out to the Denmark match next week. But also he said that William is such a fan and he's so keen to be president of the FA that he's always in touch with them during the tournament. So he's going to be phoning Gareth Southgate, the manager of England, and some of the players during the course of the tournament. So he's really going to be in touch with them, getting that kind of inside track. It's funny.
He's like the bossy dad on the sidelines, isn't he? He's like, come on, lads, that wasn't that. Yeah.
But he's such a fan as well. He did seem, he was sort of standing in front of all his kind of idols, and he did seem sort of slightly nervous giving this off-the-cuff speech. But it's quite funny to see him like that, I think. He's sort of like a little kid going, oh, you're really Harry Kane. And it was really fun engagement.
Good. We love that. We love well, and it's good that his support for the FA is key, isn't it? Because there was a story last week that the King had quietly dropped becoming patron of the FA. But what does that actually mean? You know, the Queen was patron of the Football Association. She
was not a fan, was she?
She
really
wasn't a footy fan. She didn't go along to football matches.
She wasn't there waving the whatever that thing is they wave, the ticket thing.
William has been the sort of royal champion for a while, so that's just the royal family being realistic and actually going, we're not just going to... I think Charles going, I'm not just going to be a figurehead of the FA and pretend that I'm really into football, because I'm not. William's already doing the job. Quietly ditch that.
Although Charles is interested in England's outcome, because at the King's Foundation Awards...
He sort of feigned interest in the Iceland result, didn't he?
He feigned interest with Beckham. He was sort of saying, well, you know, that defeat against Iceland, the 1-0 defeat...
expend all your energy, is what he said. Well, you could just expend some energy and beat Iceland.
He was saying, David... You know, it is bad news, I must say. And David said, I don't think we should read too much into that,
and that's
Your
because
Majesty.
David Beckham has become an ambassador for the King's Foundation. Yes. And they have been sharing tips on honeybees, haven't they?
So they're mates, and he's doing charity work for
Rod
the King.
Stewart made a great joke that he gave that off-the-cuff speech going, it's lovely to be here and I'm very honoured to be a knight And David, yours is coming soon.
We know David Beckham has wanted a knighthood for a long time. And to be fair, deserves one, I would say. Probably. He's on.
That's another podcast.
Yes. And when he becomes Sir David.
Lady Victoria.
Oh, yeah. Oh, let him have it.
Okay.
I think.
Well, he's rung up now on the King's Foundation, so there's hope for him yet.
Yes, but enough about my week, Roya, because I wasn't the only one sending photos in the group chat.
Well dodgy.
It seems you were suspiciously close to the King's portrait, the Yeo one, around the time it was defaced, albeit not permanently. But was it you, and what's your alibi? What were you doing there?
I strongly deny any insinuation that I went to the Philip Moll Gallery armed with cheese or any kind of Wallace and Gromit paraphernalia. So let's just break this down.
For people who don't already know what we're talking about or rambling about.
You might remember, those of you who listen to us, and thank you very much, those of you who do, that a few weeks ago, you and I talked about the first portrait of King Charles, which was Jonathan Yeo's very red portrait of Charles.
Red.
And the butterfly motif. And after that was unveiled publicly at the palace, with Charles going, oh, it's marvellous, it went to hang in the Philip Moll Gallery. It's a commission for the Drapers Company. Went to hang in the Philip Moll Gallery on Pall Mall. And I kept saying to myself, I must go and see it in person. I must go and see it in the flesh, because I just see it on sort of screens and my laptop and social media. And I think I made a judgment about this painting. There are bits of it I like, bits of it I don't like, but I want to see it in the flesh. So I had a meeting in the area.
With Animal Rising. No,
yesterday
sorry.
morning. Not Animal Rising. I can't confirm who I was with. And I thought I must pop round the corner and see it. So I popped round the corner, having been in a meeting and having not been on my phone and didn't know what sort of news was going on, genuinely, and popped in and noticed a lot of people in the Philip Moll Gallery. And
so you arrived in the aftermath.
Someone with a camera sort of stuck a microphone in my face and said, what do you think of it? So I very honestly, without checking who was around me, started saying, I really like it. I love the butterfly motif. I don't love the redness of it. I think the face is brilliant. I'm not sure about this. Turned around and saw Jonathan Yeo standing in the corner, the artist, and thought, oops. And then I thought, no, I think he'll enjoy my honesty.
Honesty.
Yes. And then I thought...
Candor.
And then so I went over and was like, I sort of said hello to him and asked what he was doing there. And he kind of looked a bit astonished and went, well, this, and showed me his phone. It was the Animal Rising people defacing it. And I was like, oh, I've just found myself just happened to be passing, and there I was. And so I had a really interesting chat with him, actually, about it.
So what happened is the Animal Rising activists
Nothing to do with me.
had come into the Philip Moll Gallery where it's hanging, where you can see this portrait for free, and put a kind of Wallace and Gromit head, of Wallace's head, where the King's head is. This is a famous cartoon
character. They used
character.
Water spray to stick it on, didn't they?
Yeah, with a kind of little brush thing that, you might see window cleaners with. And then there was a little caption, wasn't there, saying...
Look, Wallace, Gromit.
I don't even want to really give their slogan the kind of time of day.
But the reason they did it, they say, is because King Charles is patron of the RSPCA. And the RSPCA run a scheme called RSPCA Assured, which is to do with animal welfare across farms. And a recent report showed that across all of those farms that have that scheme, there are breaches in terms of the levels of animal welfare that are expected. And so this was Animal Rising making a point with an amusing Wallace and Gromit bit of cheese and head over King Charles's head. I mean, in the olden days, they might have been sent to the Tower for that.
It was an easy target.
It was an easy
Let's
target,
face
and
it.
they saw it. And Jonathan and Philip Moll saw it coming, because before that painting was hung for the public to view, it was actually covered with a discreet sheet of perspex. So
very wise.
While they recorded themselves pasting it on, it didn't touch the painting. It was on the perspex. It was removed very quickly. My favourite bit of yesterday was a detail that was slightly lost in some of the coverage, which is that the two protesters who ardently filmed themselves trying to deface this painting, failed because it was peeled off very quickly, hung around for 2 hours waiting to be arrested by the police. Really? And the police just went, nah. Didn't even come down to the gallery. And in the end, they just took themselves off. Hopefully, and the police were like, No, we're good.
We're good, thanks.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I thought it was so unfair as well because the King's been such a champion of farmers, hasn't he, and animal rights. And it was just a kind of easy, cheap target, I think, for them.
Jonathan was very sanguine about it and said, look, you know, in a climate of accelerating and increasing protests over public protests, with people, you know, throwing things at the Mona Lisa and, you know, Just Stop Oil the other day, we saw them, you know, people constantly sort of targeting artworks. They saw it coming. They put up the Perspex glass. And as Jonathan said, this painting has divided opinion and has had very strong reactions to it. And I suppose this was another one. So he was quite sanguine about it and there was no harm done.
But someone who does love the painting, which emerged, and we wrote about it in the Times, is the King, who likes it so much that he wants to have it hung in Buckingham Palace for a certain part of the summer.
He's going to have it there for a little bit, isn't he?
So that's
when he won't be there.
Kind of. Sorry, I'm not. Sorry, I'm not here.
Please, I love it so much, but hang it when I'm not there.
Come and have an audience with my portrait instead. We could do that.
They should send it up to Balmoral, and it should be there when everyone comes to Balmoral for their summer holidays.
Hiya.
So before we pop the kettle on and have another fanfare and a chocolate biscuit,
yes,
Kate, should we run through the other talking points of the week so far? The key talking point, the one and only talking point in Wales yesterday.
Now, less of the sarcasm, Roya.
I don't know what you mean.
We're talking about Prince William
and his
celebrating
passion for
seaweed. And he even knows what the Welsh word is, but I'm not going to say it.
Did he say it?
No, but he did it on the Twitter.
He needs to brush up on his Welsh, doesn't he?
I mean, he ought to a little bit. Not Google translating stuff for the Twitter when he goes to Wales. But
seriously,
seaweed. He is celebrating seaweed because he thinks, and lots of very clever scientists think, that in fact this could be a big saviour for the planet. Rather than having disposable plastic, one use, and we throw it away for our, you know, takeaway food and such like, you can have that stuff made of seaweed. You can have everything. So he went to see this Nopla company, which has won an award.
Well, it was
from the
Earthshot Prize, which is William's big environmental legacy project.
And now, you know, not only are they doing takeaway food boxes out of seaweed, although they look like normal boxes, you can't eat them afterwards, I don't think. It's a good idea, but if you can kind of use seaweed, we're an island nation, we should be able to let the kelp help, as we said in our Times leader today.
OMG.
It's true, because also they're a big kind of carbon neutraliser.
Yeah.
But you can have them off coast, not doing anybody any harm, but just doing the environment a ton of good.
Charles is the climate change king. Is William going to be the seaweed king?
Neptune.
Gosh.
Could be.
He's going to have seaweed woven into his cipher.
But we joke about it, but I think...
No, I'm not. I actually think, genuinely, when I saw Pierre from Nopla's Goods, I thought, this guy's onto something here.
He's onto it, yeah. Well, I like the Earthshot thing because it's a kind of trying to get special, new, innovative ideas to save the planet.
And scaling them up.
So hopefully we can... You know, one of these bright sparks, he's probably about 12 years old, can come up with a way to solve the world's problems, and Bob's your auntie. I think the 10-year goal of Earthshot is slightly ambitious, but I get it. It's from the moonshot. It's from JF Kennedy's moonshot, the idea that in a decade you could put a fire under this, you know, these innovators to get something going, get some kind of deadline, get some sort of passion, and put a man on the moon, which they did in America. So borrowing on from that very famous example, Earthshot is the plan that we can save the planet in a decade. Let's come up with some really, really funky ideas. Seaweed's one of them. So, you know.
So what we're saying here is, the top line is seaweed has got a massive royal seal of approval.
Seaweed has basically got a royal warrant. This weekend, London's Horse Guards Parade will be filled with the Household Cavalry, the King's Troop Royal Artillery, the Foot Guards, and in particular, Number 9 Company and Number 12 Company Irish Guards. There will be almost 1,000 soldiers of the British Army's Household Division, 250 musicians, 20 pipers, 240 military working horses, and this will all be part of the spectacle that is trooping the colour, with the Irish Guards Regiment having the privilege this year to troop its colour, or flag, through the ranks.
It's going to be unapologetically Irish, says Major General James Bowder, who's the Major General commanding the Household Division.
So, tell me about the horses. They are going to be, never mind the royals, the horses.
It's all about the horses.
It's all about the horses, trooping the colour.
Well, I always think whenever I watch Trooping the Colour, which is every year, and I would watch it even if I wasn't doing my job, I always love, for me, the standout shot is always the sovereign's escort of the household cavalry riding behind and in front of the carriage in the divisions from Buckingham Palace up to Horse Guards. And this, it's not just the sight of it, it's the sound of it.
I thought you were going to say the smell then.
The smell too. But it's that gorgeous clinking of the state kit, the household cavalry state kit. It's the wonderful noise of the hooves, which for me is...
We need some coconuts in here so we
music
could
to my ears.
recreate it in a kind of Archer's style.
And I just think, when I look at that and you see a little bit of it on state occasions and, for state visits and big things like weddings, it's such a gorgeous sight.
But you also know quite a lot about what goes on behind the scenes in the preparation for this, because
I'm lucky enough to be a civilian support rider for the Household Cavalry, so I help to exercise the horses regularly during the week, a few mornings a week, very early before I start my working day. And let me tell you, it's a very lovely way to start the day. So I do know a lot of the horses that are on parade and the brilliant soldiers, and they are all magnificent beasts, human and equine. But there are going to be some very special horses on parade this year because, of course, back in April, we all saw those quite upsetting scenes of a handful of the Household Cavalry horses out on their watering order who got spooked by an incident involving something on the street, some of whom got loose and two of whom went galloping for miles and ended up in Limehouse. And of course, people remember the images of the grey horse covered in blood. Luckily, all those horses are fine. 3 of them, Trojan, Tennyson and Vanquish, are back at the barracks in Knightsbridge and have been back on duty for a while. 2 of them, Vida and Quaker, up at the Horse Trust in Buckinghamshire recuperating. But the 3, Trojan, Tennyson and Vanquish, are doing so well, they are going to be on parade for the King on Saturday.
That's a nice happy ending, isn't it? The humans were well as well. We should probably point out, I think the humans were well as well.
All the humans who are involved in that incident are all fine. All the horses are too. But I think that just shows, the dedicated care that the vets at the House of Cavalry have given them.
There's another magnificent beast that's taking part as well.
The King.
No, not. Someone hairier, almost as big as a horse. It's Seamus, the Irish wolfhound.
Seamus.
And he's got a proper name, and it's, I'm going to pronounce this wrong probably, Turlough Moor is his proper name. Apparently he's named after an ancient High King of Ireland, and he's the mascot for the Irish Guards. He's a lovely little hairy thing. Yeah.
Anyway, enough about the animals. Should we talk about the people?
Go on then.
That are going to be taking part.
I suppose so.
At trooping. Well, it's all...
Well, who won't be there, I suppose?
Well, who will be there and who won't be there? That's the question on everyone's lips.
Well, speaking about the horses, the King is not going to be on horseback.
No, he's
Buckingham
not.
Palace have said he's not. I mean, last year he was on Naughty Noble, the mare that was given by the Canadian Mounties as a gift. And it was kind of, I don't know how you would say this
she was quite feisty.
In horse terms, but she was skittish. And the groom came out and sort of was wafted away by Charles saying, no, don't worry, I've got it under control. But I did wonder if that was part of the reason, given obviously his cancer treatment and then, doesn't want to ride Naughty Noble again. I don't know.
No, I think Naughty Noble will be on the pouring away at the sidelines this year, and the King is going to be reviewing the troops from an Ascot Landau carriage. So that's going to look a bit different. A little break with the tradition there. We will have the Royal Colonels riding behind him, so William and the Duke of Edinburgh and the Princess Royal will be on horseback.
But no Andrew.
No Andrew. Andrew doesn't get to hang out at Trooping the Colour anymore, no longer being a working royal. But the question, I suppose, on everyone's lips is, will the Princess of Wales be there? And,
I think not, which will disappoint people, but...
I think she will be.
Oh, really?
I have a suspicion. Well, listen.
I don't. Maybe you have a bet. I don't think she will.
I think she will. See how she feels on the day. My suspicion is Kensington Palace have been very tight-lipped on this. So we've heard nothing from Kensington Palace on it, keeping very tight-lipped. We know that we've all been very careful about not speculating about the princess and her recovery. She's still undergoing preventative chemotherapy treatment. I was thinking about it today and thinking, how will that all look in terms of you've got Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis who normally ride in the carriage with her when William's riding on the parade. Then you have them back at the palace on the balcony. And I was just thinking, if she feels well enough, and of course it's up to her. It's, one day you feel okay, one day you might feel less okay when you're having chemotherapy treatment, as the king has said, he's going through it himself. My feeling is, if she feels well enough on the day, I think she would want to be there to support the children and her family.
It would be quite a comeback, though, wouldn't it?
It would be. But do you know what? I think even if she is there on the day, I don't think it would be a comeback. And I think there would be very careful handling of it and messaging of it from the palace that, as they've always said to us, if she, they'd always, we were told,
if you see her, don't take it.
We were told when we got the briefing, the announcement from her in March that she was undergoing treatment. The briefing then we got, the background was that, she might choose to do some events now and then if she feels well enough, but that should not be seen as her as a return to duties. And it's a big if. But if she was to feel well enough to be at trooping, and nobody should see that as her comeback, because it won't be.
Yeah.
But, it's certainly the question that I keep being asked at the moment, And I've seen on some social media a lot of questions and, people wondering. And who knows? That's her decision and we all respect that.
Yeah, and I think also, it's nice that the king has made this comeback. Okay, he's not on horseback, but he has had a kind of tough hill to climb with his own cancer treatment, still receiving treatment, and to be able to be in a situation where not only could he do D-Day, but he's out doing trooping as well, I think is a big moment for him. Absolutely. In his reign. And number 9 and number 12 Irish Guards were formed in September 2022 in the final days of the late Queen's reign. So it's nice in a way that they're coming through now, these young troops, and have kind of bridged that. They've seen him from the start of his reign. It's that sort of supportive element. He's given them new colours this week. We
saw him presenting new colours at Windsor Castle, and we heard him talking to the soldiers saying how much he was looking forward to trooping the colour, celebrating his own birthday. Of course, it's his official birthday. It's not his real birthday, which is in November.
You get 2 when you're a monarch, so you get one in June.
Actually, no, don't sign me up. I don't want to be.
You get extra cake. You get 1 in June because the weather's going to be so much nicer in June. Oh. But it's Britain,
not
so
looking great.
You
this
can't.
Weekend,
it's never guaranteed, is it?
No, but you're right. It's nice to know that he's looking forward to it, and he's enjoying being out and about, Kate.
Out and about. Yes, good for him.
Out of his cage, in his own words. Anyway, we're looking forward to it. It's a big. Trooping the Colour is always a big number for us on the Sunday Times. We always get, it's lively.
A live day.
It's a live day. There's colour. We get to see what face Prince Louis pulls on the balcony.
Oh, yes, because we have
pumped for that.
So fly past 12:52, you get the guns going off in Green Park, and then you get a 62-round gun salute from Tower of London simultaneously, the other side of London, and then at 1 o'clock you get the tri-service fly past, which is always a real show, isn't
the Red Hour is going to be on time this time, Kate. We talked about them being late last week, didn't we, in Portsmouth?
I know. Oh. At least they're on time in Normandy, so,
yeah, that's true.
Hopefully.
And they hung around, unlike the Prime Minister.
This celebrates a tradition for the royal family of more than 260 years to celebrate the monarch's birthday, and dates back from kind of the Middle Ages, when troops had colours, and before battle the colours would be trooped in front of the regiment to remind them of their flag, so that in the chaos of battle, if they looked up, they would see where their regiment was, where the flag was, and that this was carried out before they went into battle. So this sort of tradition has been taken up as the kind of parade nowadays, I suppose, to reinforce that connection between the sovereign and his army.
Well, that's why it's such a big deal, isn't it? I mean, it is a part of the royal calendar, trooping. The King's birthday parade, or the late Queen's birthday parade, it is such an important part of their calendar because it is the royal family and the monarch, the colonel-in-chief of the armed forces, reviewing the troops and he's there to say thank you for all your service. Thank you to all the regiments for everything that you do for king and country. And it's the soldiers' opportunity to pay their respects to their colonel in chief. And we should never underestimate that because, you know, they all sign up, they serve king and country. And so it is this sort of thank you that goes both ways. And we know, because we talk about it a lot and we write about it a lot, how important the armed forces are to the royal family. And this is the sort of, on the global stage, watched by millions, not only pomp and pageantry and don't we do this brilliantly and aren't we the best in the world at it in Britain, but it's a unique opportunity for the king and the armed forces to say thank you to each other.
It reminded me of you talking about that reminded me of the coronation when, after they had sort of trooped back to Buckingham Palace, King and Queen came out into the garden at Buckingham Palace and there was that kind of hip, hip hooray moment.
With all the foot guards lined up and
yes,
doing that. It was amazing, that.
And you looking at the King and Queen in that moment, they look very emotional, actually.
Yeah.
And that really means a lot. And with the King having just come back from the D-Day commemorations, the 80th anniversary, I think it is particularly poignant, isn't it, this year of all years?
Yeah. And we know, you know, we talked a lot last week about how much he wanted to be able to be in Portsmouth and Normandy. The King would never miss trooping in a million years, would he?
No. I think it's one of those key moments, isn't it? And it in the diary, but also for the family as well, that kind of moment on the balcony.
Where we all get to see them and, you know, look at the lineup and people go, who's that on the end? And look at Prince Louis pulling a face.